Yo, maniacs, Hulk Hogan here, the greatest of all time. And right now, you're listening to my rap on the Apter Chat. And the hosts are without a doubt two of my maniacs, Josh Shernoff and my main man, Bill Apter. So what you gonna do when the Apter Chat goes wild on you, brother?
Welcome, everybody, to the very first episode of the Apter Chat. I'm your host, Josh Shernoff, and I am joined by the most recognizable pro wrestling journalist, photographer, all-around good guy, the man responsible for the images that are stuck in your mind from your childhood, maybe your teens, maybe you were older. It's not for me to judge. Ladies and gentlemen, Wonderful Willie himself, Bill Apter.
So you say Wonderful Willie himself.
I do.
That, of course, beckons me to go into my Wonderful Willie voice, which
I apologize, folks.
No, it's a rip-off of Dusty Rhodes' voice, where Wonderful Willie is thrilled to be here, if you will, on the Apter Chat.
And apparently, even if you won't. Now, we are excited for this first episode. We know you guys are excited too. We've got one heck of a guest.
Wait a minute. People know who I am, okay? But they're not sure who you are. There may be some people, of course, listening who know who you are. So you are the Conrad to me being like Bruce Pritchard. Okay?
Those are some pretty big shoes to fill, but
now
I appreciate
back
that.
in, I don't know what size shoes he wears. We'll find that out in Chicago.
Yeah, I'll let you find that out.
Yes, we will do that. So what I'd like to do, back in the days of the magazines, when you talked about the images that I took, the photographs that were in so many wrestling magazines,
yes,
in my mind and the minds of the fans, we had a column in Inside Wrestling magazine called Capsule Profile. And we do a line on a guy's career and then have like 3 dots and then the next line and 3 dots. It was all in print. So I want to do a capsule profile, a short capsule profile on who is Josh So Says Shernoff. Okay, you go for this?
You want me to? This is my favorite topic.
This is your capsule profile.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, action.
I have been in the professional wrestling business for almost 20 years. ... I am a former professional wrestler. ... I wrestled for OVW. ... I ran my own promotion. I was the youngest professional wrestling promoter in Pennsylvania history. ... I started running promotions when I was 15 years old, which the state frowned upon. I am also an actor, and most recently have been, if I can pat myself on the back here, have been nominated for an IAWTV Best Male Performance in a Comedy Award. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're going to put an exclamation point at it.
Shernoff, Josh Shernoff.
And I can be found at So Says Shernoff on Twitter.
Yeah, and Josh and I have known each other since, how old were you when I moved into the neighborhood in Pennsylvania?
I was 9 years old.
9 years old. So we go back all the way to, you want to say how old you are now?
Why don't we say 15 years?
Okay, 15. We've known each other. Do the math, folks.
We've known each other for a couple of decades plus.
Yeah, and we've always talked wrestling. We've always... we used to watch the pay-per-views together when he was a kid on my big, what was those, projection TV down in my basement. And I was the commissioner of your wrestling federation when you were 15 years old.
No, you were a commissioner later on when once we were legitimate, once I had a promoter's license.
Right, right. So I was, the line I used for your federation also when I was the commissioner for WXW, the Samoans promotion was, I'm the commish and I do what I wish. So on this show, hopefully I can do what I wish, but you're the driver. You're hosting here. So what's up first on the what's up first here on the menu?
First on the menu is why don't I call a quick spot and we'll throw a headlock on headlines. All right, Bill. Unfortunately, our top headline is a loss to the wrestling world this week. Jim the Anvil Neidhart passed away this past Monday morning at the age of 63.
He was a big guy who was so intimidating in the ring. I mean, he looked and acted almost like a UFC fighter. He was so tough. He really was. But underneath that, he was one of the nicest wrestlers I've ever met. One of the nicest people I've ever met. He had done charity work that nobody knew about, really, because he was a bad guy and he couldn't be You know, ooh, look, he was with kids and he was doing this and all that. It was away from his wrestling character. And back in those days, you know, you didn't do those kind of things. You didn't break kayfabe that way. You were always in character. But he was, and I hate to use, well, I use this word a lot, but he was a sweetheart of a guy. He really was. And the teaming of Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
It's my favorite team of all time.
Really?
The Hart Foundation.
What was your favorite match?
My favorite match with them, I would have to say, was SummerSlam when they won the tag team titles against Demolition.
Yeah.
That would probably be my favorite Hart Foundation match. And, you know, you have to put it into the context of my being a kid. I'm sure there were many more matches I've even seen.
The series against the British Bulldogs.
With the British Bulldogs, I was just going to say.
Wow.
But for me, as a fan and as a kid, the age I was at that point in time, that was watching them win, you know, as a face team at that point, because some of their previous runs had been as a heel team, as you mentioned before. So for me to see them as a face, and I was all about that. I loved it, and I you know, in 1997 I was a big fan of the Hart Foundation stable. That was one of my favorite times in wrestling as well.
Some of his happiest days was seeing the successful career of his daughter, Natty Neidhart, in the WWE, what she's made of herself coming from that family, how proud he was of her. And I looked at some of the things that she tweeted, and it's heartbreaking because she loved her father so very much. The last time I saw him was up at the old Bud Carson's Wrestling World. Right. And there's an interview on YouTube on OneWrestlingVideo.com, if you go there, where I did an interview with Jim Neidhart and his lovely wife, and he was so wonderfully sarcastic to me. He had a very sarcastic sense of humor. But, an announcement we hate to make. Yeah. Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
To end that on a positive note, though, what do you remember? What do you think you'll remember most about Jim the Anvil Neidhart?
Oh, as I was just saying, his sarcasm when I knew him, the personal side of him. And again, in the ring, one of the toughest, legit tough guys that I've ever seen.
For me, it would be his goatee and his laugh.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that goatee.
Well, you know what? Our condolences, of course, to his family, and I think the whole wrestling world is taking that one pretty tough, and we just send our best to everybody.
This next headline that you have down here, I cannot wait to talk about.
Saturday, April 6th, 2019, Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling combine to do a show at Madison Square Garden. Bill, you're very familiar with the Garden.
My goodness. I don't know how many people know about this, but if you're under the age of 13 years old, way back when in New York State, you were not permitted to get into a wrestling show. They thought it was too dangerous because of riots, etc. So when I turned 13, my father, Nathan Apter, and I went to the Garden every month. And other than one show that was promoted by a promoter named Jack Pfeffer, who was a great character, by the way. He spoke like this: "Today we're going to be at Madison Square Garden." Yeah, that's what he sounded like. And he managed a guy named Argentina Zuma. But he had his own one show there, and the rest of the shows every month were promoted by Vince McMahon Sr. And his father, Jess McMahon, promoted boxing shows at Madison Square Garden.
The show that you're talking about was November 14th, 1960.
Yeah.
So I
was 15 years old.
This will be the first show at Madison Square Garden, first professional wrestling event promoted by somebody other than a McMahon since November 14th, 1960.
Wait a minute. I was at that show when I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
Bruno Sammartino, young Bruno Sammartino, the Italian strongman, took on my favorite wrestler back then, Antonino Rocca. And he wrestled barefoot, and he insured his legs by Lords of London for Lloyd's of London, not Lord's, Lloyd's of London for $100,000, and I asked my parents if I could get my legs insured for that. Wow. So that's the effect.
Wonder what the payout would be on that.
I don't know, but that's the effect that little promotion Jack Pfeffer ran there.
Yeah.
But after that, of course, it was all Vince McMahon Sr.
Yeah.
So
I'm shocked. This is a big deal. This is a really
big deal.
Yeah, I don't know that younger fans quite grasp how huge this is.
He had a headlock. The McMahons had a headlock on Madison Square Garden.
They did for a very long time, and I think that I'd have to look at that and say, as most people are saying, that the WWE's relationship with the Barclays Center is what kind of sparked this, maybe opened the door for Ring of Honor and New Japan to walk in.
But the tradition of the Garden, if you asked any fan in the world what is the capital of the wrestling world, what arena is the arena that's holy ground, and they're going to say Madison Square Garden. So no one has been able to break into this holy ground, and I still find it totally unbelievable. I can't fathom another. Vern Gagne and the AWA and I believe it was Pro Wrestling USA got into the Felt Forum, the small arena, one time at Madison Square Garden.
Right. I think WCW even ran a show there.
Yeah. But to get into the main arena of Madison Square Garden, now this is starting a revolution of Ring of Honor and New Japan getting in here. There was no advertising on TV. This is all through diehard cult type of fans who support this. And once the word got out, the tickets sold very quickly, just like All In. And now I feel a change coming in a way in the wrestling business, because there's a wave of this whole independent scene that a lot of people credit Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks for, that's starting to sweep around the country.
Yeah, I think that professional wrestling as a whole needs this. I think the business desperately needs, you can say competition. I don't want to call it competition, an alternative to the WWE. The wrestling business needs an alternative to the WWE. I think it makes the WWE stronger. I think it gives fans something else to be excited about. Part of what made the Monday Night Wars, look, we all look back on it, rose-colored glasses was the greatest thing that ever happened in the history of ever. But the reality is, it was a great time to be a wrestling fan, because you had, I don't like this over here. Cool, let me go watch this channel.
Yeah, we did that. We did that. But now here's my question to all the Apter chatters out there, okay? And we'd like to hear from you. If you had your choice that night, that Saturday night, Ring of Honor New Japan is going to be at MSG, Madison Square Garden, or in the borough of Brooklyn at the Barclays Center, NXT will be running, and that's going to be an amazing event as well.
Of course.
If you had a choice, there were tickets available for both of them. Where you going?
Yeah, what a tough question. We would love to hear that. You can tweet us over at the Apter Chat and let us know. Go to our Facebook, facebook.com/the Apter Chat.
You know what I'd like to do? I'd like them to make everybody happy. I'd like Ring of Honor and New Japan to be a matinee show, and I'd like NXT to be an evening show. This way, everybody can enjoy the best of pro wrestling and sports entertainment.
Right. Unless they were both running at the same time, in which you're basically doubling the amount of people who get to go enjoy live wrestling. So that's kind of a win-win, no matter how you're slicing it there. Yeah. But no, I think this is huge. I think that this is the start of something really big for the wrestling business, and I'm excited for it.
The winds have changed. The winds have changed.
That they have, Bill, and we actually have a special guest waiting on the line for us. Cary Silkin, owner of Ring of Honor from 2004 to 2011. He's currently the Ring of Honor Ambassador. But before we bring him on, we've got a little something to talk to you about.
So, Josh, a lot of people don't know that beside being the host of the Apter Chat, you are also the producer.
I am.
And one of your main jobs is to go out and procure sponsors for our show.
Yes.
Well, I cannot tell you how thrilled I was to hear that you got Bluetooth.
Oh, Bill.
What?
Put your glasses. I didn't get blue tooth. I got blue chew.
Oh,
This is huge. I am incredibly excited about this. Speaking of excited, have you ever found yourself feeling emotionally excited but having a hard time expressing it, say, physically? Now you can increase your performance and get the extra confidence in bed that you need. Listen up. BlueChew.com, that's blue like the color blue. BlueChew.com brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work. You can take them anytime, day or night, even on a full stomach, and since they're chewable, they work up to twice as fast as a pill, so you can be ready whenever an opportunity, shall we say, arises. Blue Chew is prescribed online and shipped straight to your door in a discreet package, so no in-person doctor's visits, no waiting in the pharmacy, and best of all, no more awkwardness, unless that's, kind of how you do things. And the Apter Chat is a judge-free zone. They're made in the USA, and since Blue Chew prepares and ships direct, they're cheaper than a pharmacy. Right now, we've got a special deal for our listeners. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first shipment free. You hear that, Bill? Free when you use our special promo code BILL, B-I-L-L, BILL. Special promo code BILL. Just pay $5 shipping and you get your first shipment free. Promo code BILL. Again, that's B-L-U-E Chew.com. Promo code BILL, B-I-L-L, to try it free. Blue Chew is the better, cheaper, faster choice, and we thank them for sponsoring the Apter Chat.
so Cary Silkin, welcome to the Apter Chat.
Hey guys, thank you for having me on.
Well, how could we not? I mean,
an exciting time.
There is history in the making. Cary, you and I have talked that we're both old school fans, and I go back even older school.
Old and old school.
Yeah, new and old school, but I go back old school even longer than you go back. So you can imagine my shock when I heard that Ring of Honor, after all these years of no other promotion getting into Madison Square Garden, that Ring of Honor had finally done it.
Yes, I'm in shock myself. It was the perfect storm. It was the perfect storm, Bill. The WWE coming for WrestleMania again. Ring of Honor, which, is normally at the Hammerstein, but we knew we needed a bigger building. Last year, the company did 7,000 people. That's a real number in New Orleans. The year before was 4,000. And so there we are in New York City, and it's very difficult to find buildings. And it was a real leap of faith. I got to tip my hat to Joe Kopp and Greg in the office.
At Sinclair.
Gary Guster.
Right.
Yes, for putting this together. And it was a ballsy move, but it worked out, and we have a sold-out show on April 6th of next year at Madison Square Garden. Who would have thunk it?
So who approached who with this? Ring of Honor or New Japan? Who was the who kicked this off?
Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor?
Yeah. Ring of Honor kicked it off. But I don't want to – New Japan was has been a great partner, a great relationship. I'm not involved with any of the business. I used to be, and I'm happy not to be now.
You're the ambassador.
I'm the ambassador.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like the friendly. I tell people say, "Well, what's that like?" I said, "I'm like the friendly family dog on Thanksgiving. I go to the show, everyone pets me, shoves a little food under the table, and then I get to leave, and I don't owe any money."
Now, just in case anybody has been on another wrestling planet, there are some people that don't know your history at Ring of Honor. So if you can give us kind of a capsule profile, that would be great, Cary.
Okay. I got involved with ROH back in 2003. I knew the gentleman that initially launched the company. I expressed interest in getting involved with it. At first, they didn't need me. Then they approached me for some financial backing, and that was in 2003. And we won't go into the details, but there was some problems in 2004, and I wound up as the sole owner of the company. It was a bridge over troubled waters, to say the least, but we were able to navigate out of that. And from then on, we were sort of the underground darlings, like some band that was, not mainstream. But we expanded from, Philly to Boston and New Jersey. And then, going to Chicago was like going to the moon. And things took off in 2005 with the Punk Samoa Joe matches. And the talent was great. And we got to go to England. We had a working relationship with Pro Wrestling Noah. We got to go to Japan twice, and with Dragon Gate, and eventually New Japan. And I kept, but the thing was, it was a critical success, but it was a financial disaster. And I was the only person, responsible for it. And if I've said this many times on these podcasts and interviews, that a high school student, let alone an adult accountant, would have told me in 2006 or 7, you got to get rid of this thing. But due to my passion, due to my ego, due to my love of the product and the business, I held on. And fortunately, I was able to keep it afloat without ruining myself. And along came Jim Cornette and Gary Juster, who knew Joe Koff. And in 2010, I started talking to Sinclair. It took a year to do the deal, but we did it. And here we are in 2018. It's hard to believe it's been 7 years since I sold the company.
Wow.
But yeah. And Sinclair's done a great job. I mean, there was growing pains in the beginning, like anything else. But they're great. Joe Koff, he's the perfect guy. He's the perfect guy, and he's just a good man. And here we are in 2018, leading to 2019. It's a great product. It always has been a great product.
So going back to the show at the Garden, April 6, 2019, back in, I want to say it was 2013, the WWE did a WrestleMania in the same building that they're going to be doing this year. However, they held their Hall of Fame in Madison Square Garden. And I believe, and I'm not entirely sure, but I believe they also held Raw and SmackDown after WrestleMania in the Garden as well. Do you agree that the fact that they're going to the Barclays Center, that may have really opened Madison Square Garden up to being interested in having Ring of Honor and New Japan come in?
You hit the nail on the head. I think the Garden was jealous, or they wanted to be included in this pro wrestling extravaganza weekend. Mm-hmm. And I think they feel snubbed a little bit by, Vince McMahon, his loyalty, and Bill could tell you, and I think his loyalty to the Garden was paramount for so many years. But as time went on, they were only doing a couple of shows a year, and their relationship with the Barclays has been flourishing with the Summer Slams and other major shows. Yeah. So they get a better deal at the Barclays.
But
so the Garden wanted some wrestling, and here we were.
Well, as people always say, is the Garden is the Garden. Yeah, that's the Mecca of pro wrestling in New York.
And it's a good thing that you said that, because I wanted to circle around back, Cary, to something that you had said about not being mainstream, being more of, let's say, like a punk band. Is there any concern in Ring of Honor that now stepping up to Madison Square Garden, that maybe this could take them to that level where people don't see them as their own promotion?
They're a punk band.
Right, basically, where they feel like they've sold out in a way. Or do you think people are just so excited?
It's a great question, and I think I've got a good answer. The tickets, 60% of the tickets were purchased by Honor Club members in a pre-sale last Wednesday. So the people that are in the Honor Club got a code and had the opportunity to buy pre-sale seats. Now, if there's, I don't know how many people are in the Honor Club, but it does not rival, the WWE network. It's,
sure.
A million% of that, but it's still strong enough that they sold 60% of the tickets to these Ring of Honor members, which I thought was,
amazing.
Really, that really spoke volumes.
Sure. And that's what you want. You want to be able to have a Ring of Honor crowd.
Right. And based on the reaction and the comments I've gotten personally and have seen, it's like everybody's beloved Ring of Honor. It's going to be like a happening, a love fest. Garden for ROH.
Central Park. Yeah. Yes.
Right.
So my question to you, and I know you're not the guy that makes the decisions, but people want to know, do you think the company is going to romance CM Punk into coming to the Garden?
You got me. I'm talking like Jackie Gleason.
Humma. Come on, Norton, answer the question.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that was you're on the ball, Bill. That would be awesome. Who knows? The shows also sold. The show also sold out with not one name being announced. Who knows what'll be happening in April of next year? The attrition rate, it's not a secret. Who knows which guys might be there, which guys may not be there. There's going to be some different players, I'm sure. That's just the nature of, it's always been the nature of Ring of Honor. And, you're going to lose guys and you're going to have guys step up to the plate. So, yeah, CM Punk, that would be wonderful. And that would...
And again, as you said, it's sold out without a single match being announced,
or a single name,
yeah, right?
Really.
And I think that speaks to to Ring of Honor's brand and New Japan, and just how excited people are about anything that they're putting out these days. Bill, I think you had one last question.
Cary, I assume you're all in.
I am all in. I am going to be.
You're very all in.
Yeah.
I am going to be in Chicago on September 1st, and I will be at ringside for the ROH title match, which is going to be my good friend and our awesome champion, probably the best, I could say, one of the best wrestlers in the world, Jay Lethal, defending the ROH belt against the winner of the Battle Royal.
The over-budget Battle Royal.
Over-budget Battle Royal, that's right, which includes Colt Cabana, which includes Moose, former Ring of Honor star, and there's some other names, but there's 10 names that haven't even been announced yet. So
I'm getting my trunks ready. Wonderful Willie could make an appearance. Are you going to be in, Bill? Hey, why not? I still have the Championship Office Wrestling Cow title.
There you go. Well, there's room for you. I'll mention it to Cody.
Please do. Cary, thank you so very much.
Yeah,
and
thanks.
We look forward to seeing you at StarCast and All In.
Yes.
And this was terrific having you on the premiere episode of the Apter Chat.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on and talking to us.
No, my pleasure. And it's nice to talk to, people that are, where the wrestling business runs through their blood, and Bill and I have been around a while, and that's okay. These kids need to learn. These kids need to learn history.
Yeah, they do.
If you don't know history, you don't know anything, and it's an important thing. And thank you for having me on, guys.
Thank you, Cary.
Thank you.
Hulk Hogan is the interview everyone has been waiting for. It's been running wild, brother. All these vibes over social media.
Yeah.
And I want to clear something up, because there's a lot of people who said, not a lot of people, a small group of people, maybe 5%, have said, oh, Hogan's on this redemption tour. He called Apter and wants to get on the show.
What, was Paul Bearer one of those people?
That's the wrong answer. No, but those fans think that Hogan called to get on here. So here's the truth of the matter. When we first discussed doing this podcast, the Apter Chat, we sat down and I said to you, Josh, if you were a fan, and I know you are a fan, you've been a fan, and I said, who would be a great guest for the premiere episode? What did you say?
I said Hulk Hogan. And I said that I threw that out there as the, wish upon a star. I think maybe we can get Hulk Hogan, but I was half serious.
Okay.
And
so what did I do?
You picked up your phone and you called Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And you asked him. You said, hey, Hulk, we're doing this show, and we would love to have you on as a guest.
Yeah, and I also said to him, because you were sitting here when I talked to him, I also said to him, you can talk about whatever you want. Mm-hmm. We can talk about your career. We can talk about the controversy. We can talk about anything, your family, whatever you want to talk about. And what he did on this interview was something I really never expected out of him. I really didn't know he was going to go in a direction that he went because...
No, and look, if I can just be clear, the thing is, we wanted Hulk Hogan on as a guest because of his contributions to this business.
Oh, of course.
Because Hulk Hogan is the biggest name in professional wrestling history as far as I'm concerned. And if you're doing a podcast about professional wrestling and you're having a guest on, who bigger than Hulk Hogan? Yeah. That was my thought. Yeah. I wasn't blind to the fact that he's been surrounded in a controversy. However, he was recently welcomed back into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Correct.
So our stance on it is this, and only this. It is not our place to tell you how to feel about the controversy with Hulk Hogan.
Right. We just want you to listen to this interview. We just want you to listen. Yeah.
It is just for us to give you this interview with Hulk Hogan, his words, for you to be able to listen and walk away feeling however you're going to feel.
So listen right now to part one of an amazing two-part series on the Apter Chat, The Hulkster Brother.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined now by our very first guest on the Apter Chat. He is a 6-time WWE champion, a 6-time WCW champion, and a WWE Hall of Famer. The most iconic name in professional wrestling history. Please welcome the immortal Hulk Hogan. Mr. Hogan, welcome to the Apter Chat.
Brother, the only thing you forgot was I'm the first ever IWGP champion.
Yes, indeed. I apologize.
A lot of people forget that.
That's right. That's
okay. Thank you for the intro. You're forgiven because you're there with one of my best friends who's been with me since day one, Bill Apter, and we go so far back, it's ridiculous. I don't even want to tell people how long we've known each other.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
I mean, I've seen articles and different things. Well, he was the first IWGP champion, or that guy was the first IWGP champion. But I was. It's just so amazing that a lot of wrestling fans don't know that.
Yeah, that's really something. Well, I'm glad that you're here to set the record straight on the Apter Chat.
Well, first of all,
glad I could straighten you out, my brother.
You definitely did. You definitely did. And I know that you, other than I think Eric Bischoff's podcast, this is the only other podcast you've done, and I'm honored again as a friend and professional to have you on here. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, the first thing before we talk about anything else, is the goosebumps that I got. The way Hulk Hogan would say, the blood was rushing through me, brother, when I heard about you going back into the WWE Hall of Fame. And this was based on, their radar, seeing about all the wonderful things you did, not just in the past few years, but since you've started wrestling, in charity. But there was this one event that you did on Long Island with the Boys and Girls Club, and that was on the radar of so many people. Tell us about that.
Oh my gosh, I've done so much on Long Island. Which event are we talking about?
Well, the recent one with the Boys and Girls Club.
Well, it was for cancer, and it was just a bunch of really great people on Long Island. I've got some good friends there. Barry Ross, my old vitamin guy, and there were just so many friends. I mean, that came out. Lennox Lewis came out. Oh my gosh, it was just amazing. Oh, Jerry Quarry came out.
Jerry Quarry, the boxer, is still around, huh?
Yeah, he looks great, man. He's like 6'7". I was looking up at him. It was like I just couldn't believe how good.
Wait a minute. Jerry Quarry or Jerry Cooney? I'm mixed up.
Cooney.
I'm sorry. All right, yeah.
Cooney. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, I'm excited to talk to you guys. I apologize.
No, that's
Jerry gave me the big pinch on the cheek, then the old slap that follows it. So it was kind of crazy. But yeah, it was a charity for cancer, and everybody came out. It was a black tie event. And of course, I was overly dressed as usual with my T-shirt and bandana on. But I was inducted to the Hall of Fame for the Boys and Girls Club because I started out as a club kid here in Tampa. And the weirdest thing was, a lot of people don't know, when I grew up, it was a really, really, like Port Tampa, south of Gandy, where Steve Kern and Mike Graham went to Robinson High School. Mm-hmm. It was a really, really tough neighborhood, so it was just, it was a crazy time growing up. And my brother, who was 6 years older than me, who was passed away many, many years ago, he went down the wrong path in life. And of course, he was my big brother, and I idled him and chased him around. And, he was like 15 years old, and he got a motorcycle, and he was getting with the wrong crowd. And every weekend he would get in fights. Every weekend he'd be getting in fights and getting in trouble. And then when he got a little bit older, he would get in fights and get put in jail. And back in the day, believe it or not, you could get in a fight, get put in jail, no lawyers or anything like that, and be out of jail for $25. And I was chasing my brother around and hanging around with an older crowd, and my dad goes, "That's it." He grabbed me by the neck, took me down to the boys club, and they had everything from arts and crafts to music to baseball to a huge Olympic swimming pool, and I got hooked. So instead of running around the streets as a kid chasing my brother, when I was growing up, I ended up at the Boys and Girls Club. And I grew up in the club, and I was like a club kid. So when they put me in the Hall of Fame, even in the middle of all the controversy, with me getting kicked out of the WWE Hall of Fame, the Boys Club, they knew who I was, and they've known me forever. And I've grown up in that club and with the people, and they put me in the Boys Club Hall of Fame, which really was a huge honor for me.
Yeah, that's amazing, and congratulations on that again.
Now, going back to those days in Tampa, didn't Eddie Graham have something to do with, I think it was a place called the Boys Ranch back then?
Yeah, he had it was called the Sheriff's Boys Ranch. And here's another urban legend that's not true. The Sheriff's Boys Ranch was for kids that were kind of like troubled kids, like I started to be. Mm-hmm. And they got in trouble for fighting or stealing or whatever they did. They'd go to the Sheriff's Boys Ranch if they were like juvenile delinquents. Well, there was always this crazy urban legend that I had to go do time at the Sheriff's Boys Ranch, which isn't a bad thing. It helps out the young kids to get straightened out in life. But I never went to the Sheriff's Boys Ranch. I went to Hank Lindstrom's youth ranch. He was a Christian minister, and I went there because a couple of my friends who turned out to be ministers, these twin brothers, Ronald and Donald Satterwhite, they turned out to be both ministers. They took me there when I was playing junior high football, and I accepted Christ as my Savior when I was 14 years old. And the reason I loved the youth ranch was we used to sing all these crazy songs, and I played guitar back then. So I was like, oh my gosh, I felt important because I get to play guitar for all these kids that were singing all these really cool Christian songs. But I didn't go to the Sheriff's Boys Ranch, which Eddie Graham kind of like helped, build and founded it. I went to the Christians' youth ranch. So everybody's always been mixed up on that story.
You mentioned the guitar. When did you first pick that up at the Boys and Girls Club? Because you mentioned they had swimming, arts and crafts, music.
Well, I had just got a guitar for Christmas and the year before, and I started to take a few guitar lessons. You learn the standard 3-chord progressions, like the Louie Louie stuff and all those old school songs. And all those Christian songs were 3-chord progressions, brother. So I went there and I saw, oh my gosh, I can fit in. I wasn't real excited about, the religious stuff because I didn't understand it at the time. And finally, I kind of like fit in because I could play guitar. And then once I got comfortable with the kids and I could hear the message and understand the reason we were really there. I dedicated myself to Christ many, many years ago. And when I was 14 years old, like I said, that's what got me hooked, was being able to play guitar and become like the ringleader of the singing little group there, But, the charity stuff has always been within me. Bill, you know that way before John Cena was around, I was like the main guy for Make-A-Wish there with the WWE and WWF. And instead of wanting to see Michael Jackson or Mickey Mouse or sometimes Mr. T, they'd want to see me. And I had more Make-A-Wish requests than anybody. And then here comes John Cena, and the door that I cracked open, he just kicked it open.
Yeah.
And he did 1,000,000 times more work, and just saw so many kids that he's just really raised the bar. So, yeah, it's been part of what I've been doing forever, brother. You know that.
Yeah, you certainly paved the way for John Cena and all the Make-A-Wish with the wrestlers.
Well, it's still a situation with kids that didn't grow up in the Hulkamania generation. When you ask kids today about wrestling, so many of them still say Hulk Hogan. I'd like to meet Hulk Hogan.
Brother, I when I got in the business, I just wanted a job. I just wanted to be a wrestler because I've always loved this business. But when the role model thing came along, I went, okay, well, what's this about? And then you get to the point where you get used to it, okay? And then the character Hulk Hogan starts making Terry Bollea, the man, a better person, and then you thank God for it. And sometimes I forget how Hulk Hogan has affected so many people, and I have to keep myself in check. And we all make these crazy mistakes, but it's about getting knocked down and getting back up and moving forward. And just the other day, when I was walking around and my back was hurt and I had to go to another meeting, and I started to think in my mind, the woe is me thought. I said, oh my gosh, this, that, and the other. The woe is me thought. All of a sudden, the guy walks by me that was blind, and on the sidewalk here on the beach. And once again, I said, thank you, God. I'm so grateful, for my perfect health, and just got back on track. And the moment I walked into this meeting I was going into, there was a girl there on vacation at a hotel called the San Pearl. She goes, oh my gosh, Hulk Hogan. She went into this whole story of how her father was never around, and when he came around, he was totally abusive to her and her mother. And it was such a heartfelt story that she asked me, she goes, I've always dreamed about you, that you were my father. Could you be my official father? And of course I hugged her and said yes. We took pictures. But sometimes you just forget how powerful that character was, since the early 70s, even up until today. So
yeah,
make mistakes, but you have to stay in check. And believe me, I've learned from my mistakes to keep my rear end in check.
Yeah, and you know what? And it sounds like from everything that I've been hearing and just the stuff that you're saying is, everybody does make mistakes, and but to have this platform that you have to be able to show everybody how you can learn from mistakes. And mistakes don't define who you are.
Absolutely,
that they're just a mistake. And I think it's just amazing to hear all of this and how it's your perspective on it and how you've continued to grow, and growing up in the 80s and 90s, for me, you're Hulk Hogan. It doesn't get bigger than that. So, there's definitely that part of me here, but also just to be able to talk to you and hear the human being and how humble you are at this point in your life is really amazing to be able to hear this stuff.
Well, it's been a learning curve, and a lot of people, it's just amazing, how beautiful this life is, and how gifted we all are to still be part of this and keep moving forward every day. And, when things happen, I go back to the religion, which led me to my relation with what I believe. And I'm not saying this is for everybody, but what led me to the religion, which led me to my relationship with my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and God, and the whole thing that, to realize that, people can readjust, people can move forward, make mistakes. And the first thing that happens is, that I do all the time when I make a mistake, or I say, things out of order, which I shouldn't say, or I get mad about something, or, I'll just not treat someone. I could have treated someone 100%, and I realize, I only treated them 85%. It's kind of an amazing situation, to ask for forgiveness, know that you're forgiven in the eyes of whoever which in my case is Jesus Christ, and I believe and my faith, and I can move forward and reset. I feel so sorry for those individuals that can't forgive people. You know, even when people get back on track and move forward, they still want to, you know, hold them to the mistake they made years ago or the mistake they made 5 minutes ago. It's just such a weird thing that some people, you know, are so nice, but they still judge people, you know, and I've just gotten to the point now where I don't judge anybody because I've learned that you can make mistakes. You know, we're all human. And the thing is to find the good in people and to cheer people on to move forward, not to try to beat them down and hold them down with a mistake they made. So, I mean, I've learned that, you know, not only have I made a ton of mistakes, but everybody that I know has, and it's really cool to see people grow, move forward, and learn from mistakes. And that's the chance the Boys Club gave me. That's why I'm so dialed into with the Boys Club and Frank Sanchez in Atlanta, who's my main man up there running the clubs. And, I mean, I'll go a mile and a half for the Boys Club any day of the week because I see what they do for these kids that are lost, like I was. So it's really, really cool to be on track with an organization like that. And the WWE is right there supporting the Boys Clubs, which is so crazy that they would. I mean, I love wrestling, and for the WWE and the Boys Clubs to be tag team partners, it's like a perfect thing for me.
How did you find out that you were going to be reinstated into the WWE Hall of Fame? Because that was at every show that I've done in the past few years, I've been saying, we got to get Hogan back in the Hall of Fame. How did it happen? I mean, they obviously see all the things you've done and all the charity work you've been doing. How did it happen?
Well, we're getting into some really uncharted territory right now.
Okay.
And because I don't hold back,
right?
You know, I'm going to go there.
Yeah.
So here we go. There's a situation where, oh my gosh! First off, I have to preface this whole conversation with I've been through a lot of stuff. You know, stuff with my son. I was one of these guys that I thought no matter what happens in life, you don't get divorced. The good comes with the bad, and, you know, through better or worse, you know, sickness and health. I actually believed those words when I said I'm under God, that I would never be divorced. Well, things change and people change, and some people don't want to be married forever. So it's just such a weird situation that, you know, as I move forward in life, you just never really know the twists and turns and the way things are going, you know. So wrestling's been such a crazy part of my life. Everything I've been through with my wife, my ex-wife, and my son, and all kind of drama in the media, I think getting kicked out of the wrestling business on a personal level knocked me so far down, it was really hard to get back up, like I say, and move forward. The wrestling has been my life. I love wrestling. I'm recording SmackDown as we speak. I record everything. I watch the network. I check out all the independent stuff going on. I follow everything. I'm the biggest mark there is. And all these people go, hey, I'm smart. You know, brother, you're never not a mark. If you love the wrestling business, you learn something new every day, and you're still a mark. So for all these people that say they're smart marks, I just laugh at them because I've been in this business almost 40 years, and every single day I learn something new. So you just can't say you know the business because you don't. We're all marks. We love it so much. People like you and I, Bill, and you know, I don't know your partner, Josh, if you've got the same passion we do, but it's just in our blood. It's good. Thank God. So when I got kicked out of the wrestling business, it was like I didn't think I could recover. I really didn't. And what people don't realize is when you get kicked out of the wrestling business, for the reason I did, for the racial remarks, there's a huge ripple effect. Your phone doesn't ring. People that you thought were your friends, sometimes it's a hard time talking to them or seeing them, or they just disappear. Getting work or your phone ringing, it just doesn't happen. So that was just the small stuff. The big stuff for me was to be kicked out of wrestling. Are you kidding me? Something that I love. It was like carrying my heart out of my chest. So I just had to tell you guys that it was one of the toughest things that ever happened. So
see, and I felt that. I felt that for you, because the people, us in the wrestling business, it's their brotherhood, it's that family, and you're out of the family, and it's just, I can't take that. Yeah.
Bring if I forget, because I'm a little, sometimes my memory's not that great. As we're talking, I want you to bring up that brotherhood thing again, because I have something to say about that also. But anyway, to fast forward, radio silence for the first year and a half, okay? Mm-hmm. And then out of nowhere, Triple H reached out to me, hey, man, hope you're doing good. Well, at least, I can't remember the text exactly, but it was like something along these lines, like, I hope you're doing well, at least the best you can, which meant he was concerned about me, and it was really cool, because when he was hanging out with DX and they were doing their thing, and he worked at WCW, I was so busy running around with my own problems with my family and my ex-wife and stuff. I really didn't get to know too many of the young guys, but for him to reach out, it kind of like gave me hope, So then it started every once in a while. He would talk to me and we'd say a couple words over the phone, and it was kind of like really cool, but never talked to Vince, Mm-hmm. And so then Triple H and I started talking a little bit more this last year about possibilities, and I told him the stuff I was doing with 50 Legs, where it's a local charity here that I'm part of, that we get legs for kids that can't afford prosthetic legs. Oh, wow. And it's just all these kids, there's so many kids that can't afford to have legs to walk on or swim or to run with, so I'm really involved with a buddy of mine, Steve Chamberlain, in a charity called 50 Legs. We do get legs for these kids. So I was kind of like telling Triple H what I was up to about my little beach shops that I had going, and mm-hmm. every once in a while I'll do an autograph signing, and just how nice the people are to me. Black, white, indifferent, doesn't matter what race, color, or creed. No matter what happened, they would come in the line and go, Hulk Hogan, we love you, we stand behind you. And if they did want to talk about the racial slur, they would say, man, we know who you are. We know it was a mistake, but that's not who you are. And the people were so gracious that it gave me this crazy hope, just this crazy hope that maybe someday I could get back on my feet, with my brothers in the wrestling business. So if I'm talking too much, just stop me.
Not at all. No, not at all.
Okay. And so, fast forwarding, we started talking, and Triple H knew what I was doing with the Boys and Girls Club, and there was a common bond there. So he kept a good eye on what I was doing, and I kept him aware when I was making appearances or what we had going. And so then we started talking about, different things like Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I said, man, I'd really just love to talk to Vince, and I texted Vince back and forth on birthdays, and he'd text me on New Year's and stuff like this. And but we never had a really good conversation. So all of a sudden, my phone rings and says, hey, Monster, how you doing? So we talked, and it was like, wow, man, we've been texting back and forth, but I hadn't heard Vince's voice, and it was just so good to hear his voice. And he hasn't changed a bit, mm-hmm. Same old intense Vince, Yeah. And we talked, and it was a great conversation. And then, we talked back and forth, for, every couple of months or so. And then, Triple H said, something, man, I think it's time you have a conversation, and with yourself, and what do you really want to do anything with wrestling? I said, oh my gosh, I'd love to, this and that and the other. And one of the things that we agreed upon was Triple H and Vince. I talked to both of them. They said, well, the first thing that we want to do is bring you back, and we want you to talk to the black athletes. And I said, no, I'm not going to do it. If I come back, I want to talk to everybody, because what I did not only hurt the business, it hurt white, black, every athlete you have, Japanese, everybody that's involved and loves this business. What I said hurt this business. It kind of like dropped us all down a notch. And so I want to come back and talk with everybody. So that's kind of how it happened. And I flew into Cleveland a few weeks ago because they had Extreme Rules in Pittsburgh. Right. And thinking that, maybe I could just kind of slide in there and do what I needed to do and then slide out. But I flew into Cleveland. I was going to drive to Pittsburgh. But when I landed in Cleveland, the fans were there, And they stalk you, man. They find you.
Oh yeah,
everywhere.
there were
So,
photos all over Twitter and Instagram and everywhere.
Yeah. So I kind of like was surprised. I thought we could sneak in. Me and Jimmy Hart were together, of course, Bill. You know that.
Yes, always.
And so we spent the night there, and Pat Patterson shows up, right? So he flied into Cleveland, and Pat goes, yeah, Terry, I heard you were coming back, and we haven't talked for a while. So like Pat helped break me into business here in Florida with the Briscoes and Matsuda. So I just love being around Pat. He's one of my closest friends in the business. And we laughed and we joked and we talked in the car on the way to Pittsburgh this morning. And I got to Pittsburgh, but right before I got to the building, my phone was blowing up, going, congratulations, you're back in the Hall of Fame. I had no idea they put me in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow.
I thought we were just going to go there and talk, and it just kind of like, wow, that's so cool. It just made me grin from ear to ear. I mean,
I'm sure
I didn't start crying because I had two other men in the car with me, but I was ready to break down and cry. But no, so I get to the building, and we go in, and they had this. Everybody's in a room, and I walked in the room, and I made it really, really clear in my head what I wanted to say. There were two trains of thought. There was Plan A, and there was Plan B. And Plan A was, hey, thank you guys because I know how busy everybody is on TV days. Mm-hmm. And I had no idea where everybody's going or where everybody was coming from. But, at Extreme Rules, I figured all the talent was there. And I said, thank you guys for the time. And the first thing I want to do is tell you guys 12 years ago I said something that 3 years ago it just came to light. And I want to apologize for everything I said. I could give you the woe is me story. I could tell you all the things, all the reasons why I was in this space. I was in a very dark, dark space. But everybody's got a woe is me story. Everybody's got an excuse. But the truth is, I said these things 12 years ago, and I didn't even know they were said until 3 years ago, because that's when they came out. I can't remember what I said last weekend, much less 12 years ago. Maybe you guys can, but I can't. And when I said it, it was in a fit of anger. But I did say it. I'm accountable. That's not who I am. That's not how I feel. That's not how I believe. But the one thing I will tell you is when I said it, I was very, very mad, very, very mad at a situation. But I did say it, and it was inappropriate. It was out of context. It was hurtful. It was unacceptable. And I did it. And I apologized. If you guys could ever forgive me, I would be forever grateful. And I made sure that was my one train of thought, that I let them know it was something that I said that was out of character when I was mad, and it just was the worst thing that anybody could ever say. And I'm so sorry. And for those of you that know me, you guys know I'm not like that. But those of you who don't know me, that have only been working here a couple of years, let me prove myself to you. That's not who I am. And I just want to make sure that was the one train of thought, that I got to apologize and I was accountable, and, that I did say it. And yes, I'm sorry. Then I switched gears to Plan B, and I said, now I want to let you guys know that this is the biggest spotlight in the world. The WWE is the biggest spotlight in the world. And if you're a little teeny star, don't even slip on a banana peel when you're a little star here, because you're in the spotlight. Try not to make any mistakes like I made. But when you're a big star here and you make a mistake, the whole world's going to know. You'll be on the front page of every newspaper, of every magazine, just like it happened to me. I made a mistake, and this machine was so big, and the WWE's made me such a big star that everybody knows what's going on. So please be careful, because people have cell phones and cameras, and just be careful. And I made the two the train of thought A and train of thought B, and I made it as clear as I could possibly make it. I admit I was nervous. I've never been that nervous before in my life, talking to a group of my peers. But those are the two things. And a lot of people accepted my apology, and a lot of people heard what they wanted to hear. And a lot of the narrative that came out of the meeting was on point. A lot of the narrative was really different, because I was surprised to hear some people interpreted what I said, that I was just sorry I got caught. I mean, on camera or whatever they interpreted, but I never said that, but I guess sometimes the media and people go with the most negative narrative that can come out of there, but that's pretty much what happened, you know, and that's how I got put back in the Hall of Fame. I was on the way to the meeting, and I was put in before I got there, which was really, really cool.
Wow. Well, I think I speak for Bill when I say that we appreciate you using this show as an opportunity to tell your side of that, because I think it is important that people hear that from you.
Well, I mean, you know, it is what it is. I mean, I said those words. It was totally unacceptable. And I just really wanted to get in front of all the talent and apologize, because I know I hurt this business. Mm-hmm. And, you know, just want to move forward, you know, and I just hope the brotherhood can get back to the way, and that's the word you use, Bill, brotherhood. And I just hope the brotherhood can get back to the way it was, because, you know, when you're in the ring and somebody's body slamming somebody or pile driving somebody, you protect your brother, and you make sure physically they're safe. And outside the ring, you're supposed to protect your brother, you know. Mm-hmm. And in this case, you know, it's a situation where, you know, 75, 80, 90% of the wrestlers are protecting me, and they're giving me another chance, you know, to move forward. But, you know, there's just a few wrestlers that can kind of like don't understand the bond and the brotherhood of wrestling. And hey, if someone makes a mistake, you need to forgive them and move on and try to let them prove themselves, you know. But I just feel that I wish I could kind of like have one-on-one conversations with people that really don't know me and try to maybe explain myself better. But, you know, all in all, it was a great day. You know, it's just a highlight of my life to be able to be back in the Hall of Fame and to be able to move forward. So it's been a great time these last couple of weeks.
I was at the Hall of Fame when you were inducted, and it was Sylvester Stallone who inducted you in the Hall of Fame, and I just remember seeing you later on backstage and how glowing you were about the entire just being in the Hall of Fame there. This is probably, you know, people talk about titles and other things that have happened to you in your life. Where would you put this platform of the Hall of Fame in your life, in your career?
Well, I mean, to be accepted by my peers and to be someone that you're regarded by your peers, that you've done something to, you know, positively affect this business and to make this business bigger and better, and just to leave a mark on this business and be recognized by the men and women that work with me is just the highlight of my life. I mean, this Hall of Fame thing, you know, meant so much to me that I was, like I said before, I was devastated. But to be back in the Hall of Fame and to be in good graces with the WWE and the WWE universe is just, I feel like I get a spring in my step. I feel like I need another title run or something, brother. You know?
Boy, I was going to ask you what the next step is, but I think you just gave it away.
No, brother. The mind says yes, but the body says no.
So if the body was still the right body, would it be Hogan and Braun Strowman?
That could be. That could be. If the mind would have been much smarter 35 years ago with the largest arms in the world, wouldn't someone use the sleeper instead of jumping up and landing on their tailbone every night and ruining their back?
You know, it's funny you mention that, because we have some fan questions we're going to get to a little bit later, but one of them that came from Matt was asking how and why did you select the leg drop as your patent finisher? So I think if I can jump in with that question here, because it's a really good question.
Well, it's, you know, people don't realize, you know, that, you know, 38, 39 years ago, we didn't have the high spot finishes with, you know, 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 20 finishing moves before a finishing move beat somebody. You know, it was pretty much the heart punch, Stan Stasiak, the lariat, Stan Hansen, the claw, Baron von Raschke, you know, the sleeper, Vern Gagne.
Nobody ever got out of the figure four. That was the submission hold.
No, never. And at the end of the day, we didn't have all these bounce somebody's belly off the rope and do 3 flips and then, you know, drop 2 knees between their shoulders. And, you know, we didn't have any of that stuff back then. We had the sleeper, we had the, you know, the claw, we had the heart punch, we had the leg drop, we had the figure four. We had really basic finishes, and you would work so hard to tell the story that when you get somebody in that type of jeopardy, people believed that this was it. Mm-hmm. And so pretty much everybody had every finish there was, and nobody was using the leg drop. So I just tried to jump up a little higher than most people. That not too many people did it, and tried to jump up a little bit higher and make sure my butt and my leg landed as close to somebody's head and their neck so it looked believable. Mm-hmm. That when I landed on them, it would definitely end the match. So that's the only reason I selected it, because a lot of the other finishes were already taken.
Yeah, and there were wrestlers who gave up to holds like the abdominal stretch, when today that's barely even regarded as a hold.
Yeah, that's true. I remember in Florida here for a while, Bob Roop was beating people with an arm bar, not the Ronda Rousey type arm bar.
Yeah, I remember that.
Just the one where you put the knee in the side of the guy's head and lean back,
Took a million pictures of him doing that. By the way, one of the things I want to thank you for publicly that I never thanked you for in all our conversations is back in the days, and no one's ever done anything about this, and I send you a copy of my book, and it's not even touched on in my book, is that during the days when the magazines were banned, you were very loyal to the company, and yet you were very loyal to your friendship with me, where you talked about your dad earlier, but your mom was my mediary with you to get to talk to you back and forth. I had such a great conversation once or twice a week with your mother all the time. Do you remember that?
Yeah. My mom loved this business, and she was so proud. The whole kitchen and in the house, when you'd walk in our little house there in South Tampa, you couldn't see the paint on the wall. There were just wrestling pictures everywhere in the kitchen.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was really cool.
Yeah. She's the one who sent us the pictures from Rocky III that you saw on all the covers and everything.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if you ever knew that.
Let me switch gears and go back real quick with you guys.
Please.
What is your honest feedback from me being inducted to the Hall of Fame? What do the fans think? I know what I'm getting on Twitter and Facebook and all the Instagram stuff. It's all really, really positive for me. What are you guys getting with Hulk Hogan being back in the Hall of Fame?
I sent you just a few days ago. I sent you one of the fans that had tweeted me.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and I get nothing but positive feedback. Some of the things I've realized in my life doing everything that I do is that somebody once told me, if you make a mistake, you're still not going to please all of the people all of the time. So there's always going to be a small percentage of the public that are always going to question what your intentions are. For the most part, everything that I've gone is, thank God he's back in the WWE Hall of Fame. What about you, Josh? What have you heard?
Yeah, I'd say for the most part, more of the same. Look, I think the general consensus with the people that I've been speaking to is that what was said was wrong. It shouldn't have been said. And we have a choice. Do we say, okay, that's it, done, write you off? Or do we allow you an opportunity to apologize? Do we allow you an opportunity to grow as a person and change? And I think that most of the people I've spoken to feel that, hey, it's the WWE Hall of Fame. Your body work speaks for itself, and this is where you belong. You belong in the WWE Hall of Fame.
The people that know you and all the years that I've known you since the early 70s, you're a good person. There's nothing, that person that you were talking about wasn't you. And a lot of times people say things in fits of anger and all that, and you're not going to be able to please everybody. There are still people who won't, even though he's done everything he can to make people forgive him, hope they will. Nope, there are a lot of people who won't go to a Mel Gibson movie. So there's always going to be detractors. It's always going to be there. And you are I know you're a super sensitive person, and this eats you up inside. Even if it's one person that doesn't accept this, it eats you up inside.
Well, I'm not here to to judge whether, because, you know, it was just so crazy, inappropriate, out of context, shocking that, you know, those words came out of my mouth. It was totally unacceptable.
Of course.
All I know is moving forward, you know, to be able to work through this the last 3 years and to be able to meet people face to face, you know, that's just kind of like, even in the meeting, when I was done talking with all the talent in the meeting, I said, does anybody have any questions? You know, the only person that stood up was Mark Henry. And I just wanted to be able to, if anybody had any questions or anybody had anything to say at that time, I really wanted them to just say it to my face so I could address it. Hopefully, you know, understand the issue, and hopefully get them to understand me, that, you know, even if you don't know me, this is a huge mistake. Just want to really try to prove to myself that I'm who everybody else knows I am. And you know, so it's just, it was just something that, even though, you know, the WWE brought me back, I don't even question their decision, because it was so inappropriate. Whatever happened, happened. And I'm just glad we're on track moving forward now.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just makes me want to work harder. And, you know, if there are certain WWE stars that don't know me or have questions, I would love to be able to sit down and talk with them. You know, I would love to be able to sit down and let them get to know me and try to figure me out even more than they already think they have. So I'm just looking at it as something really, really positive, this WWE Hall of Fame, looking at it as a big first right step in the right direction. And it's a good thing. It's definitely a good thing.
Well, there you have it. Part 1 of the Apter Chat interview with Hulk Hogan.
It's
Bill,
almost like we sat back and listened to him, because he had so much on his mind that he wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for me as a fan growing up in the 80s and 90s, that was a really unique experience that I did not expect to ever have an opportunity to be a part of.
Yeah, it wasn't that. Let me tell you something, brother Hogan.
Right. And for people wondering where that guy is, we're going to get to that guy next week, part 2 of the Hulk Hogan interview. We dive much more into his career, into the character of Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania, and all of that. So you're going to get a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, a lot of questions that I don't think he's ever been asked before.
And several of your Ask Apter questions for Hulk Hogan are answered by Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that next week.
So, Josh, what are you doing this Sunday night?
Who wants to know?
I do.
Oh, well, in
I'm
that
Bill
case,
Apter from the Apter Chat.
Oh, I'm Josh Shernoff. I'm the host. Yeah. I will be watching SummerSlam, of course, in the WWE Network. Yeah. SummerSlam is going to be coming to you live from the Barclays Center this Sunday.
In Brooklyn.
All right. But you know what? Before we get into a SummerSlam lightning round preview, pick, whatever you want to call it here on the After Chat.
Pick'ems.
You do whatever you want to do.
Well, you know, I'm a
country
music fan, so I like pick'ems.
Oh, Lord. So, I want to talk a little bit about the After Chat merch, as you like. You don't like the word merchandise. It's kind of a weird thing.
I like merch.
You like merch?
Yeah.
And you know what? You'll like merch, too. Over at theafterchat.com, you can find all the After Chat merchandise. We got some great shirts. There's the After Chat logo shirt, of course. There's Is Wrestling Fixed?
I didn't know it was broken.
You can find that t-shirt.
A brand new design, by the way.
Yes, and you can find a t-shirt. This is our top seller, believe it or not. Respect the Comb Over. It pays homage to the greatest comb over of all time.
Thank you.
The Apter Comb Over.
Thank you.
And you can get Respect the Comb Over, and of course, you want to walk into your office and feel like a champion. Yeah. Well, now you can with the Championship Office Wrestling, the Cal Championship Belt t-shirt. These things are selling quicker than I ever could have imagined, considering this is the first episode.
Right.
To already be able to sell branded merchandise before, I think that speaks to the Apter Chatters, as you like to call them.
Yeah, these people are sitting there listening to this in their Apter Chat merch.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you too can be sitting in your After Chat merch if you go to theafterchat.com. But also at theafterchat.com, there's a little link that you can click. It says books. And you can click on Is Wrestling Fixed?
I didn't know it was broken.
The book by the one and only Bill Apter. The inspiration for the shirt Is wrestling fixed?
Yeah,
I didn't know it was
yeah.
broken. There's a theme going on here, folks. So you can go to theapterchat.com and you can either buy the book, you can buy the shirts, and you can listen to this podcast. So chances are you're already there.
So lightning fast picks SummerSlam.
All right, Rusev and Lana versus Andrade Almos and Zelina Vega. I have a really difficult time with their names.
I noticed that. It's
Yeah, I just for the life of me.
Almas and Zelina Vega, but that's a kickoff
Oh, that can't
match.
be right. Yeah,
So
that was a kickoff match, and
my
who's your
lightning
pick?
fast pick is Almas and Vega win the kickoff match.
All right, and I'm going to say Rusev Day all the way. Rusev and Lana.
Won't even be there tonight. Daniel Bryan takes on The Miz.
I'm looking forward to this one.
No titles on the match, but should really be an action-packed match.
This has been building up for years.
Well, wait a
at this
minute.
point.
There's something going on in this match that nobody realizes.
What's that?
These are two fairly new fathers.
Yes, that's true.
That's true. So it's the babies are going to be watching this
Yeah.
with the mommies.
Yeah.
So who do you pick?
I picked The Miz.
I think Daniel
I'm sorry to
Bryan-
disappoint you.
I think Daniel Bryan is going to
I
win.
picked The
Yes,
Miz. I think
yes,
The Miz
yes.
is the best thing going today.
Okay, well, you have your opinion. The Constable, Baron Corbin, not Corman. Baron
doesn't matter
Corbin.
either way.
He's going to lose to Finn Balor.
I agree. I gotta say, not a huge fan of the presentation of Baron Corbin or Finn Balor, if I can be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of how either man is being presented.
But who's
on
going to
TV.
win? Pick him. Lightning.
Lightning. I think the people are tuning in to hear what I have to say about Baron Corbin and Finn Balor, but I would have to say Finn Balor.
Both of them are tuning in. Okay, Braun Strowman takes on Kevin Owens.
With the Money in the Bank briefcase on the line.
Yes. So Braun Strowman retains the Money in the Bank briefcase unless Owens finds some way to steal it.
I think Kevin Owens is going to win.
Okay, well, I think Braun Strowman's going to retain
Okay.
it. Cedric Alexander versus
champion.
Drew, against Drew Gulak. For the Gulak has been very underrated.
He's
in my opinion.
a hometown boy here.
Yeah,
he's from around this area.
He's a PA kid.
Yeah.
I think he's going to win the belt.
I do too, as a matter of fact.
All right,
So,
so we
look,
agree
we're
on
starting
that
to
one.
agree. We're starting to agree on things. All
Okay,
right, the
back
Bludgeon
to
Brothers.
lightning here.
The Bludgeon Brothers champions versus the New Day for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. What do you think?
The Bludgeon Brothers are going to win. They're going to go up one more notch now, and they're going to win.
By beating the longest reigning tag team champions in WWE
Yeah, it's
history.
it's time right now for the Bludgeons to bludgeon and prove what they do. Shinsuke Nakamura, who does not speak English, so we can't ever have him on the Apter Chat unless we get a translator, against the United States, against the challenger, Jeff Hardy. Nakamura going in as the U.S. champion.
Yeah, I think he's going out as U.S. champion
So
as
do
well.
I. So do I. Definitely.
But I wouldn't be surprised. I have a sneaking suspicion that Matt Hardy might appear.
Yeah, he might, but he's not going to delete anything. Nakamura's going to retain the title.
All right. Intercontinental Championship. The champion, Dolph Ziggler, with Drew McIntyre in his corner versus Seth Rollins with Dean Ambrose in his corner. The
yes.
returning Dean Ambrose. Man, that is a guy who packed on some mass while he was
And
gone.
also put on some facial hair.
Yeah, I think he had facial hair before. Maybe a little bit more.
A little
now.
bit more.
Cut his hair,
This time.
shaved his head. I have my pick. What's your pick?
Well, Dolph Ziggler, to me, is slowly becoming... I looked at him last night we're taping this on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Monday Night Raw, and he had a lot of Shawn Michaels in him. Did you know? You
Yeah,
notice
he
that?
had 2004 Triple H's hair, though.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So he's becoming DX on his own. Let's see if he's going to have a little X-Packing next week on him. But I think Dolph Ziggler, with interference from Drew McIntyre, is going to
Well,
retain the title.
I'm gonna agree, but I don't think it's gonna be interference by Drew McIntyre. I think it's gonna be interference by Dean Ambrose.
Possibility.
I think Dean Ambrose is gonna turn on Seth Rollins.
Wow.
I don't trust him one
See,
bit.
I never liked that term, turn on Seth Rollins. He's going to interfere, and Rollins is going to become screwed there. But turn on Seth Rollins always...
You don't like turn on, but you're okay with screwed.
What a play on words there.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that.
Well, I guess it
another
all
Apter
really
Chat.
depends on either way. If he is turned on but having a hard time showing it, he can get Blue Chew at bluechew.com.
So Carmella, the SmackDown Women's Champion, will take on Becky Lynch again and Charlotte Flair, and this is for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So without even losing the match, Carmella doesn't have to be pinned or anything. If Becky Lynch pins Charlotte Flair or vice versa, they win the title.
I am going to go with Becky Lynch.
I'm going with Carmella.
I think you might be right, but I'm still going to go with Becky Lynch.
Fine. That's fine. Is James Ellsworth going to come back?
No, I think he was fired again.
I know.
Yeah.
He'll
be back again.
They tend to fire and unfire.
Yeah, he'll be back for the world's most awkward wink.
Now, talking about awkward, that's good. Talking about awkward.
Thank you.
Alexa Bliss, the Raw Women's Champion.
The goddess.
Against someone who is becoming the most valuable player in all of sports entertainment.
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey.
Rousey.
Yeah, so...
Barring a run-in from a bat, I think Ronda Rousey has a good chance. Did you see the video of that?
I did. I also
there was
saw
a bat in the arena.
I know that. I saw that. I also saw that if she has enough Twizzlers before this... You haven't seen the Twizzler commercial?
No, I have not.
With Ronda Rousey? You can check it out on YouTube. There's a Twizzler commercial. It's great. But Ronda Rousey is not going to whip Alexa Bliss with a Twizzler for the belt. She's going to be in UFC form and teach Alexa Bliss a lesson. And I don't know who's going to be able to come along and defeat Ronda Rousey.
So you're saying Ronda Rousey is going to beat Alexa Bliss to become champion?
Absolutely.
Can I be honest with you?
No, lie to me.
Okay, I'll lie to you. I think you're doing a great job on the show, by the way. But now, if I can be honest, Ronda Rousey.
These young kids.
Ronda Rousey. I thought, and I've been thinking this for months now, I thought where we were headed with this was Natalya turning on Ronda Rousey in this match.
There you go, turning on again.
Yeah, there you are.
Turning against. We use that in the magazines.
Turning against.
We said that in the magazines. We always put turning against because the publisher once said to me, that guy's not turning on the other guy.
I think that publisher needed Blue Chew. BlueChew.com.
Perhaps.
Anyway, so I think that was the plan. I think Natalya was going to turn on Ronda Rousey and cost her.
Turn against Ronda Rousey.
Go
ahead.
Okay. I think Ronda Rousey was going to lose this match because of interference by Natalya. I don't suspect that's going to happen now. I would assume that Natalya is not going to be at the show. So I'm going to go with, I'm still going to go with Alexa Bliss. I think she's walking out champion. I don't know how, but I think she's walking out champion.
Interference.
Yeah.
Interference. All right, the champion, SmackDown champion.
The WWE champion.
As seen on SmackDown.
Yes.
AJ Styles taking on Samoa Joe for the WWE Championship.
Can you believe it? I mean, we're going to pause on the lightning round for a second because this is worth talking about. Watching these guys compete in Ring of Honor, watching these guys compete in TNA for all those years, if while you were watching them, even headlining TNA, and had you said, wow, in 2018, they're going to main event SummerSlam for the WWE Championship.
Yeah.
You would have said, I think that ship has sailed for these guys. That's not going to happen.
Yeah,
at least that's what I would have said.
They're in the WWE machine, and this is what has helped bring them.
I am so excited to see them on this main stage of SummerSlam. I guess the number 2 show of the year for the WWE.
Yeah.
I am expecting this to be a really good match.
Oh, knockdown, drag-out match. We've seen so many matches of the two of them against each other, but bottom line, it is finally Samoa Joe's time.
I agree.
AJ Styles, ex-champion.
I think Samoa Joe is going to become WWE champion.
All right, so now...
Here we go.
Roman Reigns, the challenger for the Universal Championship, held by Brock Lesnar, and that so rude what Paul Heyman did to Roman Reigns on Monday night.
Man's a genius. I agree.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. Here's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready for this?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
People think, oh, Apter's tuned in to everything that's going on. It's not Paul Bearer.
No.
It's just a voice of a fan in my head. Oh, Apter's got the bottom line. He knows from WWE what's going on. So here's what's going to happen. I think Roman Reigns is going to beat the crap out of Brock Lesnar, but Brock Lesnar is going to retain the title, and he's going to be laying there practically dead, and here comes Braun Strowman.
I agree. If Braun Strowman stays champion,
Which he
or
will.
not champion, Money in the Bank holder. I agree almost. I don't think Brock Lesnar is going to beat Roman Reigns. I think you're going to see the same thing that you saw at WrestleMania when Seth Rollins cashed in. And I think Braun Strowman could come in and beat Roman Reigns.
Okay, there you have it. Our lightning fast SummerSlam preview.
So, Bill, you have a trip coming up in November. You're going to England.
Yes, I'm going to be a guest at a kayfabe events tour.
Oh, that should be really exciting now that you've offended everybody with that accent.
Oh, thank you very much. Everybody said it sounds like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins. But I've been to the United Kingdom many times. I absolutely adore the country, the fans. And my showbiz heroes growing up were all from England. Anthony Newley, look it up, Tommy Steele, and a guy named Roy Castle. But I want to tell you about an event that's coming up September 1st. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Should I use my cheesy British accent?
I wouldn't.
Okay, so I'll do it. Kayfabe Events, which is one of our terrific sponsors, are delighted to bring to Worthing in the UK an evening with former NWA TNA World Heavyweight Champion, the Monster Abyss. And with him will be his brother, Joseph Park.
Oh, they sprung for 2 tickets.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's amazing. So handling the interview will be, the Q&A will be Dean A.S., and he's known all over England as a interviewer, and he's been in the wrestling business.
Yes, I know him.
Yes. And the Q&A will be orchestrated by the king of strong and stable style, Spike Trivet. Now, that's not all. Special guest on this show on September 1st, coming to Worthing in the United Kingdom, the 2017 CZW Combat Zone Wrestling Tournament of Death winner and longest ever reigning Progress World Champion. You know who I'm talking about, Josh?
The King of Goths.
Yeah.
Jimmy Havoc.
Yes, he will be there too. Tickets are available exclusively at kayfabeevents.com. And please follow them on Twitter. You like how I said that? Follow them on Twitter at Kayfabe Events. All right, so that again is in Worthing in the United Kingdom, September 1st. Joshua, all up to you now.
All right. Well, thank you, Bill. Yeah, that sounds like it's going to be a really awesome event.
Yeah. Kayfabe.
No, I won't say anything.
No, Kayfabe Events.
Oh, well, there you go.
Okay.
You know what I think it's time for?
What?
Ask Apter. All right. We asked you to ask some questions, #AskApter, and you guys delivered. So we're going to read off a few of these questions.
Let me
here.
sit down.
Okay, get comfortable.
Comfortable.
Relax.
All right, I'm totally relaxed. And we had a lot of, how would people find to ask me questions on future episodes here?
Well, you would, first of all, listen to this podcast.
Yes.
And then you would go on Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty high-pitched right there. Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there.
And hashtag.
You would go to Twitter,
Right.
#AskApter. You can find us at the Apter Chat. And while we're doing this, before we even get into Ask Apter, I think this is a great opportunity to say, Bill, where can they find you on Twitter?
Well, they can find me at Apter One Wrestling or at the Apter Chat.
Yes, and they can find me at So Says Shernoff. That's on Facebook and on Twitter. And you can find the Apter Chat, facebook.com/the Apter Chat.
Now, wait a minute. There are people who are not on Twitter, so if they want to ask a question for Ask Apter, tell them where they can email us.
They can email us at theapterchat@gmail.com. That's where they can send their emails, and just put in the subject, #AskApter.
If you have something personal you'd like to take up with me,
Hey, now.
be apter@onewrestling.com.
All right,
It's
calm
my
down.
personal email address. So I don't tell that to everybody.
Yeah, this isn't. Nobody needs your personal.
You never know. There are people out there who ask me for advice.
This is when people are going to stop listening now.
I don't think so. Well, why don't we go to Ask Apter?
All right, Ask Apter. Don't worry, Bill. We'll cut that. Ask Apter. We got some questions. First one coming from Jeff Robinson. Willie Apter, do you have a favorite story that you wrote over the years? Also, do you have a favorite PWI edition? I have 3. The Great American Bash cover with Dusty and the Big Gold, PWI 10-year, and Flair in the middle of the ring in Japan with the trophies. Bill?
So unfortunately, the favorite story I ever wrote, and this was way back in the 80s, was when young David Von Erich died. I never poured my heart into a story like I did regarding his death. It was one of the saddest moments in the history of the business, and he and his family were personal friends of mine. So I look back at that. I read the story every once in a while, and it brings me back to the passion and love I had for David. We were very close, and that whole period of time that took me back to the Parade of Champions when Cary Von Erich defeated Ric Flair for the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. I think that was the finest story I ever wrote, Josh.
Oh.
My favorite PWI cover was the cartoon of Hulk Hogan.
Really?
Yeah, I loved it. That was my favorite PWI cover. The second one was the horror shot of the Road Warriors with the red background. Craig Peters and I took the portable studio to Atlanta, Georgia, at the TBS studios, that Ted Turner, when he was running Georgia Championship Wrestling. And Craig lay down on the floor with this light going underneath the Road Warriors, and I took the photo, and it had horror lighting. Best set of pictures I think I ever took.
How awesome is that?
Yeah.
Another question comes to us from Johnny Long. Hey, Bill, everyone raves about the star system for matches. For Hulk Hogan, what do you feel was his best or highest rated match?
It doesn't matter what. It was against The Rock.
WrestleMania 18?
Yeah, I just loved that match with Hogan and The Rock. To me, that was the
magic.
The crowd turned against
The
Rock. Yeah, and it was just, to me, even though it was Hollywood Hulk Hogan, it was the finest moment.
That was lightning in a bottle,
Yeah,
that match.
yeah,
that moment was really something special. What would you say? I mean, it's talking about the star system. Now, you're famous, and every picture anyone will ever find of you, you're pointing.
Yes.
So if you had to give, how many Apter points would you give that match?
On a scale of what?
1 to 5.
I'd give it a 5.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 being the highest.
Right.
Oh,
Unless
absolutely.
it's in the Tokyo Dome.
But if we're going back to the Hulkamaniac days, brother, probably his, let me think. Well, the most exciting match was the night he beat the Iron Sheik, which was amazing. So that would be in terms of excitement and matchability, created a new word there, that would be the match.
Is that what you did?
However, I saw him against Antonio Inoki, and he brought this up.
Yeah.
IWGP.
Yes.
I saw him against Antonio Inoki at another point in Japan, and that was the match where I saw that Hulk Hogan could wrestle.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, the punches, the leg drop, the hulking up. He showed that Hiro Matsuda, his trainer, taught him how to wrestle, and when he wrestled in Japan, that's what he did.
Sarah M. Chambers,
a lady,
asks us a question.
Hi, Sarah.
In all your years of following wrestling, what has been your scariest moment for either yourself or a wrestler?
The night in Atlanta, Georgia, when I was shooting pictures of a match with Abdullah the Butcher. And this is in my book, by the way.
Is wrestling fixed?
I didn't know it was broken. On sale everywhere. But
Apterchat.com.
I was at ringside shooting pictures with my Nikon that had film in it. Google it if you don't know what that means. And as I was shooting pictures, Abdullah got kicked out of the ring by someone. I don't remember who it was. And he started to walk around me. And this guy's, close to 400 pounds and very scary looking. He was all bloody and he had a plastic knife in his hand there. And he grabbed me and pulled what hair I had back then. I had a lot of Elvis hair back then. And he started punching me in the face. And it was the most terrifying moment of my career.
So he's responsible for the comb-over.
He's one of them.
Ripped all that hair
Yeah,
right
Bull
out.
Curry did some of that hair.
That is horrifying.
Yeah, no, Bull
Glad
Curry
that
did
happened to
some of
you,
that
not me.
hair. The Sheik grabbed some of my hair. So, yeah, that's where it went. Wrestling is responsible for my comb-over. Headline. Thank you, Sarah.
This next one, I'm gonna butcher your name. Adam DeMaui, maybe? I don't know. What was
Well,
Bill's...
spell that last name.
D, lowercase e, uppercase M-O-U-Y.
Amaui.
No, it's
Yes.
DeMaui.
That's what I just said. Demaui.
I thought you said Amaui.
I may have. Go right ahead.
What was Bill's favorite Hogan theme? Real American in the WWF or American Made?
No
WCW?
question. Real American.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am a real American. Oh, it's still today. That just resonates. I love it.
That the way it kicks off is just
It's the whole thing. It's just
yeah.
it brings excitement.
Yep.
It brings sports entertainment.
Yeah.
It brings music.
Makes me think of Mike Rotundo and Barry Windham. You know, it was originally their music.
Actually, I did not know that.
Yeah, it was their music for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And Hulk Hogan had some other very 80s sounding music. It was on one of the wrestling albums.
Yeah, no. Oh,
Hulk
that's
Hogan
right.
had
that's
that,
right.
and then he
now
took
I
over Real
Now that
American.
you brought that up,
Yep.
I remember that.
Yeah, see?
Good
Real.
catch. Really?
Oh, thank you.
So says Shernoff.
Yeah. Wrestling 24/7 asks, Bill, what would you say was Hulk's greatest match? Now, you kind of answered that already, so I apologize
match
for asking that.
To me, it was the match against The Rock. No, it was the finger. Match
The finger
with,
poke of doom with
Kevin Nash.
Kevin Nash.
That was
It
definitely
was an instant classic.
instant.
Travis Peters asked, do you think the NWO angle ran on too long? I think it should have died at Starrcade 97 when Sting beat Hogan. When do you think it should have ended?
I think I agree because it started watering down, and no knock to like Scott Norton and Virgil and all these hundreds of other people who came into the ring with the NWO shirt. But yeah, it should have stopped, or maybe just a bunch of guys should have been thrown out and they revamped the NWO a little bit.
I thought this question was really good, and it got me thinking. And I was thinking, man, had that ended, had Hulk Hogan kind of disappeared for a little while, the NWO, maybe they were off TV for just a bit, and then they kind of started peppering them back in, but not really the NWO anymore. You could have jumped back to the NWO even 6 months later.
I don't know if that would have worked. It would have been a ripoff of their own NWO. It was a great time in the business.
Yeah, I mean, all good things have to come to an end.
It was so unique. It's like fighters that keep winning and winning, and then they get old, and they take that last fight, like Ali and Larry Holmes. Ali never should have taken that match, so you can't bring that back and make it magic again, as much as you try.
Very true. Very true.
We're talking about the NWO. We've heard in the wind, and if you go to Hulk Hogan's website, hulkhogan.com, that there's something going on with an NWO reunion at Hogan's Beach Shop. Yeah.
Keep your eyes out for that.
Yeah.
There's also going to be an NWO reunion of sorts at Starrcast.
Yes.
X-Pac, 1, 2, 3, 60 degrees of the NWO. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and X-Pac will be there.
You know what my favorite part of the NWO was?
What?
The music.
Loved it. Till now.
My son Brandon and I used to love putting lyrics to it. We do this, we do this. We go, and then there's Hulk Hogan, and then there's Scott Hall, and we get louder with each guy.
Oh, that's wonderful. We're going to have you actually record. I think we're going to try and have you record that to to the actual background track of the NWO
I think that'd
music.
be great. Yeah.
Let's see if we can throw something like that together. But no, they will be at StarCast, and so will we. I think this is a perfect time to give a little plug for StarCast.
Yes, I will be hosting 2 panels at this point, remembering Andy Kaufman, and I'll be with Dutch Mantel and Jerry the King Lawler, and then remembering the Empty Arena match with Terry Funk and Jerry the King Lawler, that infamous match that took place in front of no one in Memphis, Tennessee.
See, I don't understand why that's such a big deal, because the majority of the matches in my career were empty arena matches.
Well, that goes to show you you're... Never mind, I don't want to do that. Terry Funk told me, Apter, if you're hosting this damn thing, you better get some security guards in there because I'm going to kick Jerry Lawler's ass. They still don't like each other, by the way.
Well, I'm glad you're in the middle of it and not me, but I will be at StarCast. I am officially on their website, which is super cool for me because at the end of the day, I spent some time. I was a wrestler. I was down in OVW, but I am a wrestling fan. I'm a lifelong wrestling fan. That's all I am. Now I'm, I guess, a podcaster.
Yeah, well, you're now the host of the After Chat.
But I'm a wrestling fan, and so for me to scroll down and see just a couple under Arn Anderson, to see my picture on there is absolutely crazy to me.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you. I mean that sincerely. That was really awesome of them to do that. I will be there going around interviewing tons of the legends that are there.
For OneWrestling.com.
And the Apter Chat.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll be there doing that. And come on over and say hello. I'd love to meet any of our fans.
And I will be, Wonderful Willie will be everywhere. By the way, you have congratulations in order?
I do.
We do here at the After Chat.
Not only will we be at StarCast, but you and I will both be all in, and I'm going to be all in box suite
You're going to be boxed in a suite?
I'm going to be boxed in a suite.
It's a wrestling show, not a boxing show.
Well, there you go. But I'm going to be in there, and I'm really excited because one of our favorite Apter chatters, Jonathan Meisenberg. That can't be right. Misenberg. We're going to go with that. Well, you know what, Jonathan? You can tell me in person how to say your last name because Jonathan won the all-in ticket giveaway that the After Chat did.
Yeah.
So Jonathan and a guest will be joining me in a box suite to watch All In. I'm super excited about that.
And
Jonathan,
not only
do
they get the box seat, but what else do they get?
They also get...
What's their consolation prize?
After Chat T-shirts. Yeah. So, we'll get together with him, and I think we're going to be filming that, meeting him, giving him the tickets at StarCast. We're really excited about that. And thank you, everybody who followed us on Twitter, shared our page to try and try to get those tickets, but who hung around afterwards. Hey, you didn't win the tickets, but you hung around to see what we had to do.
There's going to be more contests here
there are.
on the After Chat for tickets, books, and After Chat T-shirts. So, Josh, this has been a great premiere episode. Next week, part 2 of the Hulk Hogan amazing interview.
I can't wait, and we're really excited. Again, thank you guys so much for being here, for joining us on the Apter Chat. Again, you can find us on Twitter at the Apter Chat. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/the Apter Chat. Join us on over at theafterchat.com, and find Bill at Apter One Wrestling. Is that right?
No, that's not.
What are you? Where the hell did I find you on Twitter?
Yes, at Apter One
At
Wrestling.
Apter One Wrestling.
I have so much social media.
And find me, he's a very popular guy. And find me at So Says Shernoff. I'm Josh Shernoff. He is the legendary Bill Apter.
And by the way, you can also follow me at beapter@onewrestling.com.
Yes.
No,
they
my
can't follow
email.
you. That's your email. They can send you emails.
No, but they can follow me at...
Guys, please just... He's very lonely. Send him these emails, okay? He's been begging for them.
But you can follow me at Apter One Wrestling as well. That's my onewrestling.com Twitter account.
You're home away from home.
There's only one thing left for us to tell these people.
Go for it.
We'll see you
at the matches. Thanks, guys.
And girls.